Hi, and welcome to Film 3.UK Movie Recap. Today, we will be reviewing the movie The Seventh Seal 1957, so if you're a fan of the film or just curious about it, stick around. In our video reviews, we may include some spoilers, so please be careful if you haven't seen the movie yet. The Seventh Seal begins with a long shot of a beach surrounded by cliffs. A man, later revealed to be Antonius Block, walks down the beach carrying a large wooden cross. He is followed by a mangy black dog. Block climbs a set of stairs carved into the cliff face and stops at the top to look out at the sea. The camera pans to the left to reveal a woman sitting on the beach. Block tells the woman, who is revealed to be his wife, that he has dreamt of her. She says that she has dreamt of him as well. Block's wife tells him that their son, Mikael, has died. Block says that he met Death on the beach. He tells his wife that Death wanted to play chess with him, and he agreed on the condition that if he won, he would be allowed to live for another year. If he lost, however, he would have to go with Death. His wife asks him what happened, and he says that the game is not over yet. The scene cuts to a group of men riding through a forest on horseback. They are followed by a wagon carrying supplies. The men are crusaders, and they are on their way to the Holy Land. One of the men, Rufus, asks Block if he has seen any sign of the enemy. Block says that he has not, but he saw a sign that death is near. This doesn't seem to faze the other men, who are more concerned with the possibility of being ambushed by the pagans they are fighting. The scene cuts to the crusaders setting up camp for the night. Rufus tells Block that he is going to keep watch while the others sleep. Block says that he will keep watch with him. The two men sit by the fire and Rufus asks Block about his chess game with Death. Block tells him the story and says that he is not sure if he is winning or losing. Rufus asks if he is afraid of Death, and Block says that he is not sure. Rufus tells him that he is not afraid of Death, because he knows that he will go to heaven. The next morning, the Crusaders pack up their camp and continue on their way. They come to a village that has been destroyed by the pagans. The people were all killed, and the houses were burned down. The Crusaders find a few survivors and take them with them. One of the survivors is a young boy named Nathan. The Crusaders come to a crossroads and are unsure of which way to go. Block tells them to go left, because that is the way that Death went. The others are hesitant, but they agree to follow his lead. They come to a castle that is being besieged by the pagans. The Crusaders decide to help the people in the castle and they fight off the attackers. During the battle, a man on horseback rides up to Block and tells him to come with him. Block is hesitant, but he eventually goes with the man. The man takes him to a cave where a group of her men are sitting around a fire. The men are pagans, and they tell Block that he is their prisoner. In the second part of the film, the black-clad figure of Death appears to the knight, who challenges him to a chess match. If the knight can win, he will be granted a reprieve from death. The knight agrees, and the two begin playing. As they play, the knight tries to stall for time, asking Death questions about the meaning of life. Death is uninterested in the knight's musings, and eventually, the knight realizes that he is playing for keeps. He grows desperate, and as the game progresses, the knight's sanity begins to unravel. Finally, the knight makes a move that puts him in checkmate, and Death claims his soul. The third part of the film The Seventh Seal 1957 follows Antonius Block, a knight who has returned from the Crusades to find his country in the grips of the Black Death. He meets a girl named Mia, who has also been infected with the disease. Mia tells Antonius that she has seen Death, and Antonius sets out to find him. He eventually finds Death, and the two of them have a chess match. Antonius wins the match, and Death agrees to spare his life. Mia then begs Antonius to take her with him, and he agrees. The three of them then set off into the unknown. The fourth part of the film The Seventh Seal 1957 follows Antonius Block, a medieval knight who has returned from the Crusades, as he makes his way back home. During his journey, he comes across a group of actors who are performing a morality play. The knight is fascinated by the play and asks the actors to tell him more about it. The actors explain that the play is about the eternal struggle between good and evil. Later, the knight comes across a group of flagellants who are whipping themselves and singing religious songs. The knight is repelled by their actions and continues on his journey. Eventually, the knight arrives home and is reunited with his wife and son. However, the reunion is short-lived as the Black Death arrives in the village. The knight's wife and son both contract the disease and die. The knight is devastated by the loss of his family and slips into a deep depression. He spends his days wandering the village, searching for meaning in life. One day, the knight comes across a group of people playing chess. He joins them and plays a game against Death. The knight loses the game and Death tells him that it is time for him to die. The knight pleads for his life, but Death is unyielding. The knight accepts his fate and resigns himself to his death. In the fifth segment of the film, the knight and his squire are returning from their travels and happen upon a group of traveling performers. The knight is taken by one of the performers, a beautiful young woman named Mia, and asks her to dance for him. The other performers are reluctant, but Mia agrees and the two dance together. The knight is amazed by her beauty and grace, and they share a moment of intimacy before the other performers interrupt and Mia leaves. The film's sixth segment begins with a scene of a shipwreck. All of the film's characters are on the ship, which is caught in a storm. The ship begins to sink and the characters start to panic. Some of them try to swim to safety, while others cling to the ship in hopes of being rescued. The ship eventually sinks and the characters are scattered. Some of them die in the process, while others manage to make it to shore. The film then focuses on a group of survivors who are stranded on a beach. They are all sunburned and dehydrated, and they have no food or water. The group tries to find a way off the beach, but they are unsuccessful. They are eventually found by a group of soldiers, who take them away to a concentration camp. The film ends with the characters being led into the gas chambers, where they are killed. The seventh seal begins with a scene of the medieval knight Antonius Block, Max von Sydow, and his squire Johns, Nils Poppy, returning from the Crusades. Antonius has been disenchanted by the brutality and futility of war, and has lost his faith in God. He challenges death, Bantikrot, to a game of chess, hoping to stall his inevitable demise. In the seventh part of the film, Antonius and Johns meet a group of traveling actors, led by the jester Joff, Georg Rydberg. Joff and his wife Mia, Bibi Andersson, mesmerize Antonius with a comic dance routine. The knight is so taken by their performance that he forgets his game of chess with death, and for a moment, he is happy and content. However, Antonius's moment of happiness is short-lived, as Joff's daughter Karen, Inga Gill, suddenly falls ill and dies. This tragic event causes Antonius to lose all hope, and he sinks into a deep depression. He returns to his game of chess with death, resigning himself to his fate. In the eighth part of the film, the knight and his servant girl find themselves in the forest of the dead. The forest is a place where the dead go to await their fate. The knight finds himself surrounded by the corpses of people who have died in battle. He is shocked and horrified by what he sees. The servant girl tries to comfort him, but he is too deeply affected by the sight of the dead. He sits down in the middle of the forest and waits for death. In the ninth part of the film, Antonius Block and Joff discuss death and how there is no escape from it. Joff tells a story about a man who tried to cheat death, but in the end, death always won. Antonius asks Joff if he believes in God and Joff says that he does not know, but he believes in something. Antonius then reveals that he is going to play chess with the Grim Reaper in order to try and stall his death. The scene then changes to Antonius playing chess with the Grim Reaper. The Grim Reaper is winning, but Antonius is determined to win. The scene then changes back to Joff and he tells another story about a man who tried to cheat death, but in the end, death always won. Joff then says that he is going to die soon and he wants to see his wife and child one last time. Antonius tries to stop him, but Joff runs off. The scene then changes back to Antonius playing chess with the Grim Reaper and the Grim Reaper wins. In the 10th part of the film, the main character, Antonius Block, is seen discussing life and death with a personification of death. Antonius is trying to come to terms with his own mortality, and death urges him to accept his fate. Antonius then agrees to play a game of chess with death in order to prolong his life. However, death is not playing fair and Antonius soon realizes that he is losing the game. Eventually, Antonius loses the game and death takes him away. If you found the review enjoyable and wish to watch the movie, we've provided a link in the description where you can access it. If you appreciated the review, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Till the next time, bye.